The world does not suck. You're just in a low frequency state. All your problems, everything you worry about, it all has a factor, which is your current state and your current perspective that you have. That affects everything. Really, this is a more complex way of looking at the idea of being positive versus being negative, right? But it's not as simple as just being this optimistic person with no sort of backbone to life, right? For example, let's say you're overweight and your positive thought is something along the lines of, well, hey, at least I'm not that overweight, so let me just continue staying at this weight that I'm at. That's one way to look at it, sure. But I don't mean that when I say choose the positive thought. I mean, I'm overweight, but that's fine because I can lose weight and I believe in myself to do this. So let me go ahead and take the correct actions to do this. That's what I meant by the optimistic thought, because the negative thought is, oh, I'm overweight and I will forever be overweight because I suck. Right? So, let's get back to the idea of the frequency thing, okay? Because I think everyone needs to understand that once you understand that essentially nothing is really a problem, nothing is inherently bad or good, and it's all down to your perspective and your mindset, your goal, the smart thing to think about now is, okay, well, how do I get into this positive mindset? Or how do I have a positive mindset? Actually, yeah, that's what a lot of people would say. They would say, how do I have the mindset? How do I have a mindset like you? How do I have this perspective like you? Understand, it's not like you have a mindset. It's not like I have this mindset and I have it forever. No, it's not that simple. And there's no book, there's no video, there's nothing that can snap you into that mindset. The only thing that snaps you into that mindset is your actions up until the point of where you're at. And that sounds a little bit complex, so let me break this idea down. When you wake up and you consistently make the right decisions, starting from the moment you wake up, you chose a wake-up time and you stuck by it. You went to the gym. You did everything you said you were going to do. You didn't just do it, but you did it well. Like, you put effort into it. Everyone here has experienced a day like that. How do you feel after? You feel good. You feel proud. The way I would describe it is you kind of gain a sense of self-trust, which is another way of just saying confidence. You start to actually believe yourself. You start to actually believe your own word and your thoughts. Because you said you were going to do something and then you did it. Once you are in this flow state of continuously making the right decisions, this is when you enter the high frequency state. And this is when you start to look at things from a more optimistic point of view. Essentially, since you are so trusting in yourself, you start to trust yourself with other areas of your life, other things, other future events that could happen. So something on the news might come up like, oh, tsunami warning, or I don't know, some scary shit. And by the way, if you watch the news, stop watching the news. If you watch anything that's not helping you in life, stop doing that. If it's giving you fear, it's not good for you. The only fear you should have should come from within and not from an external source. There's enough fear that comes from within that you don't need to go out and seek it on a television program. So anyways, when you're continuously making the right decisions and you have more self-trust, you enter a flow state, and that is when you are in a high frequency state. And that is when you start becoming more optimistic with things. So when you see something bad on the news, when you see something bad happening in real life, you have a more optimistic viewpoint. For example, someone might be stressed out about the elections. I'm over here walking around in the sun, happy, living my fucking life. Just absolutely basking in the life. And some people might be like, wow, this guy is ignorant, or wow, why doesn't this guy think of more big concepts such as the fucking election, right? But no one realizes, like, I mean, I'm not gonna get too deep into the politics. All I can say is you should focus your time into things you have control in. And whenever you don't have much control into something, you shouldn't waste your entire life trying to have this grasp of the thing. Instead, realize there's so many factors and variables of life you have absolute control over. So as a man, it's on you to handle those things. That's really top of mind. That's really top of line. Now, if you got everything fucking handled, your physique, your money, your social status, your dating life, everything, like literally, if everything is 100% handled, then I think this is the only place when you should start focusing on things you don't have much control over. Honestly. But if you're watching this video, I say there's a 99.9% chance you don't have everything handled. Or at least you could get them more handled or better. I'd be assuming. So anyways, let's get back to this mindset thing. Whenever you feel down, in fact, actually, let me break it down to this point. Let me tell you a little story. So earlier today, I woke up, and I actually woke up a little bit later than I was supposed to, just slightly. Didn't feel too good about that, but at least I had good sleep, right? So it wasn't a big deal. I got up, I did my morning routine, and I had to use the bathroom. And sometimes I use it, sometimes I use it after I eat, sometimes I use it like before. I don't know, man, it's kind of interesting. I guess it depends on how I ate the day before. But anyways, I was scrolling on my phone, which is a problem, okay? And I know a lot of people here can relate. You go to the bathroom or you sit down for whatever reason. You start scrolling your phone with the intent that you want to check something, or with the intent you want to do this one thing or two things. And then what ends up happening is you might actually just start scrolling more. You do the thing you said you were going to do. Or honestly, in some cases, you don't even do the thing you said you were going to do. You literally just get distracted and you fall into Instagram, or you fall into Reddit, or you fall into some random YouTube video that's not even helping you. Or you're watching this video right now when you're supposed to be doing something else. Now, if you're watching this video, at least you're watching this. This is something that's actually going to try to align you into productivity. So anyways, I was in this state. I was checking my phone. I had to do this one thing, but next thing you know, I'm checking my YouTube analytics. I'm like, oh, cool. And then next thing you know, I check my Instagram DMs. And then I spend like 10 minutes bullshitting. And it's not a big deal, because that's the mindset. The mindset is nothing is a fucking big deal. Like chill the fuck out. But what I noticed is after that, I started having this thought of, fuck, like I just spent 10 minutes checking bullshit. I feel a little bit unproductive. But then I went on with my routine. Ah, man, my fucking shoulders. And then I went on with my routine. And essentially, like, I remember I just had a little bit more pessimistic thoughts. Just a little bit more than I normally do. And it was caused because I felt out of alignment with my morning and I didn't do everything exactly how I should have. But instead of me thinking, oh, the world isn't as good of a day today. No, there's no such thing as that. Everything is your perspective. So I was aware that, I'm just in a not as high frequency state because I currently am not in 100% alignment with my consciousness. Anyways, I went on my routine. I did my workout. I crushed it. I started listening to some cool podcasts about this guy, the CEO of Telegram, and he's talking about his like upbringing in Russia and all this crazy shit. He had to learn like 6 languages at a time. I was listening to this and I was like pumping it up, and I was walking around with my head high, straight, fucking smiling, which is massive, by the way. If you're walking around like like this, or your shoulders are hunched, what the fuck, dude? Like, stop doing that shit. Seriously, walk around with pride. I don't give a fuck if you don't like yourself. I don't give a fuck if you don't feel good. It's not about that. It's about having respect for yourself. That's really what it comes down to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you actually don't have the respect for yourself. It really doesn't. You need to force it onto yourself. At least for other people, right? One way you should look at life is like, think of how would you live if the people you admire and love the most were watching you in that moment? How would you live? Your idol, your beloved family member, they're watching you in that moment. What would you do? And how would you do it? For people who look up to me, first of all, thank you. But second of all, what would you do? How would you work out? How would you walk? How would you go about your day if I was there just watching you? I hope you would try harder, honestly. And if that's the case, don't wait until this situation arrives. Just start living in that way. Live congruent to that. So anyways, the low frequency thing I was talking about was, so I was having the low frequency thought. I went through the actions that my consciousness was calling me to. That put me in a higher frequency, right? And once I'm in the higher frequency, I start to look at life different. The sun shines better. My mood elevates. I'm more aligned with the present moment. My voice becomes more real, more raw, more genuine. Everything just enhances. And the concept is you shouldn't just stop at the gym, or you shouldn't just stop at the few things you do right. No, your whole day should be a progression of things that continuously are pumping your frequency up and up and up and up. Your whole day. Now it goes far to say your whole fucking week, your whole month, your whole life becomes this. And that is growth. That is growth, honestly. And you just gotta get used to this way of living. It's really the amazing beauty we have in this world as men. And I say men because, I mean, if you're a woman watching this, first of all, you're amazing to be able to go through this content, because it is quite masculine. I'm not gonna act like it isn't. You have this dude walking around shirtless in Miami with tattoos, just kind of screaming at the phone a little bit. If you're watching this, I'm not saying you can't do this stuff, by no means. What I am saying is I do expect men to get this shit handled more than women. That's really what it is. I'm not imposing this on a girl. I'm imposing this concept on men. Because if you're a man and you're not progressing in life every day, then you're fucking up. You're fucking up so hard. You're fucking up for your family. You're fucking up for your wife. You're fucking up for the girl that you don't have. You're fucking up for your community. You're fucking up. Like, what the hell? You think it's okay to just walk through life and not progress as a man? That's not okay. By no means. You can't wait till war to start training. That's not how life works. In times of peace, you prepare for war. I want that to sink in. Because when you're at war, guess what? War comes out of nowhere. That's what it is. War comes out of nowhere. You get drafted, so to speak, out of nowhere. You're not fucking prepared for war. That's the concept of it. So when fucking bombs are flying in your life, are you gonna be fucking ready? Are you? Or are you gonna get fucking rocked like a little pussy? And guys, this is a metaphor. But what's funny is it's a metaphor, but it could also be reality. War could come up, but it could also be reality. Right? In a metaphorical sense, though, what I mean by war is any tragedy, any problem, any external situation that is fucking with you internally. Right? There's very classic examples of tragedies and things that can happen to people, and things that do happen to people quite often. For example, I'm gonna list them just to give you guys a picture. Or if anyone's listening, maybe one of these things have happened to you. Maybe you get sick. Maybe a family member gets sick. Maybe a family member passes away. Maybe some climate emergency, right? Maybe a national emergency. Maybe you go to war, like literally. People think this shit can't happen, but of course it can. So anyways, if right now you're not going through a fucking emergency, which you're most likely not going through some massive emergency. If you are though, I mean, let's just assume you're not, okay? If you're not going through an emergency, then I will consider you in the time of peace. And right now is not the time to just sit back and relax and then wait till the next emergency to fucking snap you straight as a man. No, you gotta fucking prepare right now, dude. But it's not a pessimistic thing. It's not like, wow, the world is a scary place, so I need to continuously sharpen my sword and get ready for that next battle. It's not that pessimistic. It's more like, understand that these circumstances will happen to you. They will. And if you want to be the man that can go through these circumstances and fucking perform at his best of his abilities to basically save the day, if you want to be that man, then practice right now. Start sharpening that sword. But it shouldn't be from fear. It should be from love and from wanting to help and from wanting to solve these future problems. I'm not saying you want a tragedy to happen to you, but if it were to happen, you are the first person to step up and put his all into it. So I'm not saying you should want to. So I'm not. God damn it. Hello? Fucking Siri just got annoying for a second. Anyways, I'm not saying you should want these things to happen to you. By no means am I saying that. What I am saying is you have to accept this is part of being a man. This is part of being a man. This is the talk your father probably never gave you. And I'm telling you right now, when you work on yourself so much and this becomes just the way you live, right? When these things do come up, not only do you handle them very well, much better than most people can, but you take pride that you are chosen to handle this. I wouldn't want a tragedy to happen to anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, think of your loved ones. Like, would you want that thing to happen to them? No. If someone has to handle something, it's gotta be me. Or more like I'm proud and I'm happy for it to be me. It reminds me of when I got lost in the woods once and I was walking around and I was like 5 hours deep into being lost in the cold wilderness. Crazy story, I'll tell a different time. And it reminds me of one of the thoughts I had, which is like, as crazy as this is, as hard of a challenge as this is, would I put this burden onto somebody else? Would I extract it from me so I can put it on somebody else? And better said, would I extract it from me and put it on my mom? Would I put it on my sister? Would I put it on my brother? Would I put it on my best friend? The answer is fuck no. And if you have that mindset, then you're not a fucking man. That's really the essence of being a man. Is that you're willing to solve problems and handle responsibility and not be a victim and not put it onto somebody else. It's really the essence of being a man. So let's wrap up this video because we're about to hit 20 minutes. There's no such thing as a problem, like honestly. It's really like, there's no such thing as a bad situation or a good situation. There's just your perspective. And your perspective can be manipulated through consistent actions that are aligned with your consciousness. Which means your entire life should be focused around being aligned with your consciousness and continuously progressing as a man. Because It is part of being a man, which is trying to solve the problems in life, being as optimal as you can, and being there for others. So don't be a victim. Instead, volunteer to be the man that people need and the world needs. And guys, this isn't a sad concept. This is beautiful. This is what power is. When you obtain responsibility, when you handle things on your own, you gain power. You have power. Be grateful for that. Embrace who you are. Embrace your energy. Embrace your role in society. Embrace it. Get in a high frequency. We'll talk soon. Peace out.